Welcome to Wisdom Unveiled. It's great to have you with us again.
Great to be here.
Today, we're continuing our journey, actually our 35th deep dive, into the profound world of the 12th century Persian poet and mystic, Attar Nishapur.
Yes, drawing from those fascinating conversations between Dr. Ibrahim Dinani and Dr. Ismail Manzouri Larijani, the Maarefat recordings.
Exactly. And just a quick heads up before we jump in. This is all based on translations from Persian, especially with poetry, mysticism, these really intricate layers, some nuances, some specific details they might not translate perfectly. We do apologize if anything feels slightly off.
Absolutely. But the core wisdom, that really does shine through, regardless of language.
We certainly hope so. And our mission, as always, is to dig into these rich sources, pull out the key insights, and, well, give you a shortcut to understanding some really deep stuff.
Maybe with a few surprising facts along the way.
Hopefully. So let's get into Attar. What makes his approach so different?
Well, what's immediately striking is he doesn't really teach through, say, dry philosophy or abstract arguments.
Right.
Instead, he uses these incredibly captivating stories, parables,
Yeah.
all woven into his unique poetry. It's very deliberate.
So it's less about telling you the answer and more about guiding you.
Precisely.
Okay.
He's a master of what's called kinaya.
Kinaya.
Yeah, it means indirect speech or implication. There's this old saying, implication is more eloquent than just stating something explicitly.
Okay. Why does that work better?
Think about it. When something's just implied, your mind has to engage, doesn't it? You have to work a bit to uncover the meaning.
You become sort of a partner in the discovery.
Exactly. And that active involvement, it really amplifies the message. The insight feels like your discovery, not just something someone told you.
That makes a lot of sense.
It actually mirrors, in a way, how the Quran uses stories, asan al-qas, the best of stories aimed at those with uli al-absar, that inner vision, that deeper sight.
So the truth is there, but you need the right kind of sight to perceive it beneath the surface narrative.
You got it. It demands something from you. You're not passive. And when you actively unpack it, it sticks. It becomes personal.
I can see how that would be much more powerful. Attar really was a master of this then. Let's talk about one of his parables that really illustrates this idea of inner sight. The one about the man, his guest, and the dog.
Ah, yes, a classic Attar story. It's quite profound. He tells of a spiritual seeker, a man who prays to God, asking for a guest.
Okay.
God promises him a guest for the following day. So then he gets everything ready, cleans the house, prepares food, meticulous preparations.
Right, expecting someone important, presumably.
Exactly. But the next morning, he opens the door, and there's a dog.
A dog, not what he expected.
Not at all. He's appalled, maybe even disgusted, depending on the cultural view of dogs. And he drives the dog away, shoos it off.
Oh, dear.
He waits all day, but no human guest ever arrives. He's confused, distraught. That night, he has a dream.
And God tells him.
God reveals that the dog was the promised guest, the guest he had prayed for, and he rejected it.
Wow, that's quite a twist. So it's obviously not just about being nice to animals, is it? What's the deeper layer?
Attar is using this to fundamentally shift our focus. He wants us to move beyond just superficial external seeing, what he calls zahiri, towards a deep internal seeing, the batini.
Okay, external versus internal sight.
He's urging us to cultivate what he calls DP hakikat bin,
Which means?
a truth-seeing eye, an intellectual vision, an intelligent sight, and inner vision.
So, seeing beyond the obvious form, our normal understanding is, well, a guest is a person. How does Attar want us to see it with this truth-seeing eye?
With that true D today, even something considered unclean like a dog or really any being can be God's guest, God's messenger, God's sign.
So the man's problem was his fixed idea, his expectation.
Absolutely. He had this rigid mental box for what God's blessing should look like, and it completely blinded him to the reality standing right there. It's about a radical shift in perception, seeing the divine or the potential for connection in utterly unexpected places.
That's a really powerful point, and it seems connected to another idea you mentioned Attar explores, this sort of paradox about human knowledge.
Yes, exactly. Humans, we have this unique capacity, don't we? We can know about atoms, galaxies, angels, history, philosophy, things far beyond our basic survival needs. Animals don't really do that.
Right, we seem geared towards understanding the whole universe.
But here's the philosophical puzzle Attar touches on. How can we, as just one small part of the universe, possibly claim to know the whole? Logically, a part cannot contain or encompass the whole it belongs to.
Yeah, how does that work? How can the finite grasp the infinite? so to speak.
Attar's resolution, and it's central to mysticism, is that while our physical body is definitely a part of this world, there's something within us that isn't just a part. Our inner self, our intellect.
The D-Day we were just talking about.
Connected to that, yes. He links it to the universal intellect, which, in some traditions, was the very first thing God created. This inner aspect is considered higher than the physical world.
Higher than the whole universe.
In a sense, yes. It's not bound by the same limitations. It possesses a kind of innate blueprint or resonance with the whole. And that's what allows us, this part, to comprehend the whole. Our inner reality reflects the greater reality.
Okay, that helps make sense of it. So, developing this D-Day, this inner sight, requires us to overcome our own baggage, our preconceptions, like the man with the dog.
Exactly. Attar puts it very directly. You need to distance yourself from yourself.
Distance yourself from yourself. What does that mean, practically?
It means shedding those layers of illusion, your ego's demands, your conditioned expectations, your fantasies about who you are or what life should give you. It's about finding your true, real self beneath all that noise.
Like clearing away static to hear the real signal.
A good analogy. And it's not easy. It takes a conscious, serious individual decision. You can't just follow the crowd. You have to step back, get some perspective, view things from a higher vantage point.
You know, that idea of distancing or removing obstacles within oneself, it sounds a bit like the spiritual practice in Ramadan, doesn't it? The focus on shedding sins, ego.
That's a very relevant connection. Yes, Ramadan is often seen exactly like that, a time for intentional detachment from worldly distractions and inner clutter to gain clearer spiritual perception.
Yeah.
It's about creating space for that Batini sight.
And if someone manages to achieve this, to get this truth-seeing eye, what's the result?
Well, Attar suggests something amazing. If you acquire this D-Day, then suddenly all beings can potentially be seen as guests, as manifestations of the divine. And you, yourself, become the host not just of your house, but in a sense the host of the entire world.
Wow.
As he puts it so beautifully, a human is an eye, the rest is skin, the eye is what sees the friend. The essence of being human is that capacity for true sight.
That's incredibly profound. From rejecting a dog to becoming the host of the world, quite a transformation. Now, let's shift to another really potent parable Attar uses, this one digging into the ego, the nafs, the one with Satan and Pharaoh.
Ah, yes, this one is stark. Attar paints this scene. Satan confronts Pharaoh. You know, Pharaoh, famous for claiming, "I am your Lord, the Most High." Pick arrogance.
Right, the ultimate ego trip.
So Satan arrives and does something seemingly miraculous. He takes some sand, turns it into gleaming pearls, and a poof, turns it back into sand.
Okay, a display of power.
Then he turns to Pharaoh and says, essentially, you claim divinity. Okay, do that. Turn the sand into pearls.
Ah, the challenge is thrown down, and
Pharaoh, despite all his bluster, all his grand claims, he's completely powerless. He has to admit, no, I can't do that.
So his claim is exposed as empty.
Completely. But then comes the real shocker in Attar's telling. Satan doesn't gloat or try to recruit Pharaoh. Instead, he rejects him utterly.
Rejects Pharaoh.
He basically says, I don't even accept you as my slave. You're too weak, too wretched. Your claims are baseless. You're pathetic.
Wow. So even Satan finds Pharaoh's type of ego contemptible because it's based on nothing.
Exactly. That's Attar's stunning insight here. Pharaoh's massive ego, his God complex, isn't a sign of strength at all. Attar reveals it as the sign of profound weakness, spiritual poverty, a deep inner emptiness and loneliness. It's the absolute lowest, most diluted stage of the nafs, the ego, or the lower self.
It's pure self-deception, a fragile facade covering nothing.
Precisely. And this story works like a mirror, highlighting a critical link Attar wants us to see between two concepts, tabir and tagir.
Tabir and tagir. Okay, what are those?
Kabir's interpretation, specifically self-perception, how you see and understand yourself, and tagir is change, transformation.
Okay, self-perception and transformation.
The story shows Pharaoh couldn't achieve tagir. He couldn't transform the sand because his tabir, his self-perception, was fundamentally false. He thought he was a god, but the reality was impotence. His interpretation was completely broken.
So you can't actually change or transform anything yourself or the world if you don't first have an accurate understanding of yourself.
That's the bedrock. A correct tabir is the absolute foundation for any real tagir. It reminds me of that powerful saying from Imam Ali, the wise is he who knows his worth.
Knowing your own value, your limits, your reality.
Exactly. True wisdom isn't about knowing astronomy or physics first. It's about knowing yourself, seeing yourself clearly, without the illusions and false claims of the ego. Only from that place of honest self-interpretation can genuine lasting change happen.
And Attar, he doesn't just leave this as a story about some ancient king, does he? He brings it right home.
He makes this startlingly direct statement. Pharaoh is your nafs.
Oof. Right between the eyes.
It's meant to be. He's saying that same arrogant, self-deceiving, fundamentally weak inner pretender that exists inside every single one of us. That lower self, the nafs.
The part of us that wants to be more than it is, that makes baseless claims.
Yes, and it's constantly being tested, constantly fighting for control. The Quran describes this aspect of the nafs as amara bisu, always inciting towards negativity, towards base desires, towards evil, if you will.
And it's never satisfied.
Right there, it's insatiable, like hell itself in some descriptions, always crying out, is there more? How min mazid? Rumi had that vivid image he called the nafs a hungry dragon that could devour worlds and still roar for more.
A hungry dragon. That's a powerful image for that relentless wanting. So how does this inner pharaoh, this nafs, play out in our lives?
Well, Attar, like many mystics, points to this fundamental duality within human beings. You have the potential to be the master of yourself, or the slave of yourself.
Master or slave of oneself.
Yes, your mastery comes through your akal, your intellect, your reason, your capacity for discernment, and your din, which is your connection to divine guidance, your spiritual principles. That's the higher part.
Okay, the intellect and spirit.
But you become a slave when you're ruled by your hawa, your desires, passions, lower impulses, which are driven by that insatiable nafs.
So it's an internal power struggle.
Constantly. Your real freedom, your agency, hinges on which side is in charge. If your intellect, guided by spirit, governs your desires, you're the master. You're free.
But if the desires, the nafs, dictate to the intellect,
then you become a slave to your lower self. You get caught in that endless, exhausting chase for more gratification, more validation, which ultimately leaves you feeling empty. Because the dragon is never full.
This seems tied to the idea of human free will.
Absolutely. This freedom we have, ETR in Arabic Persian, is seen as this incredibly precious, unique gift in creation.
But it comes with a catch.
It comes with immense risk. The freedom to choose the good inherently includes the freedom to choose badly, to let the nafs and hawa run the show. That's the price, the weight of being truly human.
The responsibility that comes with that freedom.
Exactly. As one poet expressed it, something like, if my thought were not free under this sky, there would be no such cry from my throat. Our potential for greatness and our potential for falling are two sides of the same coin of freedom.
That's a sobering thought. The responsibility is huge. And speaking of feelings, Attar introduces another crucial concept, doesn't he? Something called dard. Pain.
Yes, but it's a specific kind of pain. Not just ordinary suffering like a headache or grief, though those are real. He talks about a sweet pain.
Sweet pain? That sounds like a contradiction.
It does, doesn't it?
Mm.
But this dard is the deep spiritual yearning, that feeling of, well, homesickness for our divine origin, a longing for reunion with the source we came from.
So it's the pain of separation, but it's sweet because...
Because that very ache, that feeling of distance is paradoxically a sign of connection. It testifies to where you belong. And it's incredibly motivating. It's what fuels the spiritual journey, the desire to return, to find perfection. It's a pain that pushes you towards growth, not destruction.
Like the longing itself reminds you of what you're longing for, and that has a sweetness to it.
Precisely. It's a catalyst. And this ties into Attar's critique of how we value things. He asks this really sharp question directed right at us.
What does he ask?
He says, essentially, you know the price of every commodity, every car, every house, every gadget. But your own worth, the value of your own soul, you do not know, oh foolish one.
Ouch. That definitely hits home in our consumer culture.
Doesn't it? We spend so much time calculating the value of external things, things that decay and pass away, but we remain utterly ignorant, or maybe just neglectful, of the incalculable worth of our own inner being, our Jan, our soul.
You're focused on the price tag and miss the treasure inside.
Attar laments this. He says something like, we gambled away the soul for the sake of the body and didn't recognize the soul's value even one bit. He warns that focusing only on the body, its needs and desires, can actually paralyze the soul, trap it.
So it's a fundamental misplacement of value, a terrible bargain.
Terrible bargain.
Yeah.
And the core message running through all of this is, don't make that trade. Don't sacrifice the eternal jewel within for fleeting, temporary cravings.
And the way to avoid that bad bargain?
It requires moving beyond the ego's prison, recognizing that inner pharaoh for what it is, weak, deceptive, needy, And the key to that, Attar stresses, is humility.
Humility.
He states it very clearly. He who is not humble in his own eyes, God has no business with him. You have to see your own limitations, your own pharaohness, before you can connect to anything higher. Humility isn't weakness. It's seeing reality. It's the doorway.
So if we bring all these incredible threads from Attar together, that story of Pharaoh and Satan, it's like a mirror held up to our own ego.
A very stark mirror, yes. Reminding us that real strength isn't in making grand claims, but in honest self-perception. That accurate tabor.
And that just underscores how crucial self-knowledge is, doesn't it? Knowing your actual worth, your Jan, your soul.
Well,
That's the absolute starting point for any real change, any real tager in life.
it's the bedrock. Without it, you're building on sand, just like Pharaoh.
Right. It's about spotting that relentless, hungry voice of the nafs, seeing it for what it is.
That hungry dragon.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
dragon. And then consciously choosing to use our better tools, our intellect, our spiritual guidance to actually steer the ship.
Letting the master rule the slave within, instead of the other way around. It's about claiming that true inner freedom.
So for you listening right now, maybe just pause and reflect for a moment. What subtle, perhaps unconscious, Pharaoh-like delusions might be operating in you?
What unexamined habits or maybe false ideas about yourself could be keeping your own inner Pharaoh from admitting his weakness, and therefore keeping you from accessing your own true strength?
And how could really grasping your inherent worth, not your status or possessions, but your Jan, your soul, how could that be the credible first step towards the kind of authentic freedom Attar points to?
And finally, that subtle pain, that sweet dart. If you feel any kind of longing for something deeper, something more meaningful, what might that actually be telling you?
Could it be an invitation? A prompt to look inward, to really seek your origin, and maybe, just maybe, to finally step onto that path of genuine self-discovery?
Powerful questions, certainly things to sit with.
Absolutely. Something for you to explore in your own time, in your own way. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive here on Wisdom Unveiled.
We hope you'll continue exploring these incredible ideas.
Until next time, keep seeking, keep asking those deep questions, and, well, keep growing.